most amount of calories I consume in one sitting, I guess I've consumed almost like 15,000 calories from like a birthday cake challenge. I was like almost 3.5 kilos of birthday cake. I felt super sick after that. To break my current satay record, which is 180 sticks in 20 minutes. You can't really say like you enjoy it because it's like a sport, you know. Especially when you're doing contests, you're just trying to wolf the food down. You're just trying to swallow as fast as you can. You can't exactly enjoy the food that much. If the food is bad, you don't really have a choice. I mean, like, you just have to force it down. I would say most of the time the food is not exactly in the condition that you want to eat it. It's like either cold or it's not that tasty already. It's like sitting there for a while. So you just have to learn to deal with it. How you perform with regards to the eating challenge, there is so many factors involved, like the physical temperature of the food. How do you feel that day? Do you like the food or not? Is it spicy? Is it sharp? Is it like technical? There is so many things involved. I like to like hit a workout right before eating event or eating contest. The push day consists of all that chest, your shoulders, that sort of thing, triceps. A pull day, which involves your deadlifts, your lats, you know, your back exercises. It doesn't help with any sort of like digestion or anything. It's easy for me to keep track. I find it works for me, like to maintain my current physique. So what happens when you consume so much food? Your body will push out whatever you consume. That happens anywhere like 20 minutes or half an hour right after the thing. So usually I'll just go to the bathroom, take a dump. What comes after is the food coma. You just want to nap somewhere, you just want to lie down. Anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. It goes up to 6 hours. When you're eating so much, you want to let your body sort of take a break, deal with all that food. So I'll fast another 18 to 24 hours. I would not let my body like fluctuate too much with regards to the weight. I'm saying like I'm gaining weight. I would definitely like take a couple of days off or a week off to just like maintain my current physique. Mental wise, it's just very tiring, especially during your off days. You don't get to eat with your friends. You just have to stick to a very responsible and very strict diet. 90% of the time I'm on a caloric deficit. My off days is about 2 to 2.3k a day. If you're a regular person, you're trying to lose weight and you're on a caloric deficit, you feel tired. But for me, because I'm ingesting so much food as and when, so I'm still quite okay. But it's just the workout, you know, I'm doing cardio every day. It's just so tiring. It sort of like strains my CNS a lot. Central nervous system. Everyone have the basic desire to eat. You reach that point that you are beyond full. So you just have to really shut it off and just keep going. Maybe the competitiveness inside me sort of help, but it's just a lot of like mental. Let's not talk about Joey Chestnut and Matt Stoney. These two are considered God tier. So they are like very unattainable yet. To improve is actually a little bit difficult as well because you have to push past yourself to get better. With regards to like beating other competitive eaters overseas, that is obviously like accomplishment. Like, it's like, you know, mini bosses and you kill along the way, along your journey, that sort of thing. If you say like Super Bowl or like Olympics, the biggest stage is definitely the Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. Definitely it's gonna be one of the stages that I want to step on before I stop competitive eating. Number one risk that competitive eater actually suffer or die from is actually choking. You're eating so fast and you're forcing so much food down your esophagus. If you are not a professional and you're not trained in this field, I mean, you will die. The risk is there. Okay, so please do not try this at home. Any sport like rugby, soccer, people die from it as well. But people would not be that ambitious to try and solo something that big, and there are paramedics on site. So that reduces the risk by quite a bit. This is why Food League is there for.
We try to give advice to the eater itself in terms of the technical parts, how to eat, what are the safety precautions when you go into an eating contest or you're eating a food challenge itself. There's a lot of time that the rules and regulation is not set up properly. Maybe if we're going to eat, like someone is going to host like an eating contest that involve like fish, it might be dangerous because there's a lot of like fins and bones. So we don't try to advise our vendors regarding about food challenge.
So if we keep overeating, our stomach will keep stretching and we will lose the ability to stop eating, and that is a vicious cycle. So the more you overeat, the more you end up eating. The stomach has got stretch receptors. So these are nerves that detect the degree of stretching. The more the stomach is stretched, the greater the stimulation of these stretch receptors. And when the nerves are stimulated, it sends a signal to the brain to say, hey, stomach's very stretched, maybe you should stop eating so that the stomach can digest the food and clear it before you start eating again. There are very little studies to look at the physiology of the stomach in competitive eaters. We do know that in competitive eaters, the stomach can expand a lot more than a normal person. So a normal person perhaps could have an expansion of maybe 10 to 20%, but competitive eaters can perhaps expand their stomachs by almost 200 or more. How this is done has never really been well studied. Perhaps some of them have a natural ability with a stomach that is either larger or more stretchable. But many of them can only compete after a period of training. We can't do a 10-second 100-meter sprint without training. So likewise, they can't eat at the ferocious rate that they do without training. And in their training, they learn to overcome the stretch receptors. So they're trying to overcome the natural physiological defense mechanism. Theoretically, of course, there are long-term risks. So if you stretch your stomach to the point that you don't have that full sensation, what happens 30 years, 40 years later? Will those athletes have to go for surgery to reduce the size of the stomach? Nobody really knows.
I don't know, maybe you get old or something. You just really need to take more breaks. And this is a sport where you have to be very, very responsible to yourself. I've seen competitive eaters like having heart attack, diabetes. So you have to be very physically active and responsible to your body if you want to do this.